Honda at last has a really serious entry in the volume part of the mid-sized family SUV segment with this car, the ZR-V. This Civic-based crossover only comes as a self-charging full hybrid and claims sporty drive dynamics and premium quality. If you like the looks, need efficiency, don't really want to plug in and aren't hung up on a posh brand, it could be worth a look.
Honda wants the ZR-V to be seen as sporty by family SUV standards. That would make it fairly unusual in the Qashqai class, and unusual too for a full hybrid, a 2-litre non-plug-in 4-cylinder normally aspirated petrol engine, that thought being the only one available, powered in this case by a 181 horsepower electric motor. Still, sportiness is a trick that the Civic eHEV somehow manages to pull off, and the ZR-V eHEV has all the same underpinnings and the same engineering, which means that, like that Civic model, this crossover is a curious confection. An EV, but not an EV. The main role of the engine we mentioned isn't to drive the wheels, but to generate energy for the little 1.05 kilowatt-hour lithium-ion battery, which drives 2 electric motors. Unlike Toyota or Hyundai full hybrids, this one has no gearbox between the powertrain and the wheels. Instead, the eHEV system itself shifts seamlessly between EV, hybrid and engine drive phases as you move along. EV drive propels you from start off and at low speeds, and hybrid drive cuts in when extra acceleration is called for. Only at steady high speeds does engine drive kick in, but that happens only briefly because as you approach top speed and the required drive energy becomes higher again, the system switches back into the hybrid phase to re-unleash the full output of the electric motors. All of this happens without driver input, but as in the Civic, the eHEV system does also offer various selectable driving modes, Eco, Normal, Sport and Snow. Fuel consumption is rated at 48.7 mpg on the combined cycle with up to 130 grams per kilometre of CO2. It's to Honda's credit that the ZR-V looks like a bespoke design rather than a Civic on steroids, although that is essentially what it is. With a length of 4,568 millimetres and a width of 1,840 mils, it's similar to that family hatch, but it's well clear of the brand's smaller HR-V crossover. Instead, the dimensions are similar to those of the old 5th generation CR-V. You'll find this ZR-V much more recognisable as a Civic-derived model inside because the cabin adopts that car's horizontal interior design language with features like a hidden air vent spanning the width of the cabin. But there's a more open approach to the fascia architecture, shedding the Civic's high centre console in favour of a split level one and adopting a taller driving position to suit the crossover body. As usual in a Honda, the quality is a curious mix between premium and practical in terms of finishing, but it's all really nicely put together, and as usual with the brand, the ergonomics are largely spot on. You don't sit quite as high as you might expect to in an SUV, but the carefully designed seats are supportive and there is a reasonable amount of cabin storage space, much of it in and around this unusually designed centre console. The screens are Civic derived, of course, a digital instrument cluster which will be either 7 inches as here or 10.2 inches in size depending on spec, and a 9-inch central infotainment display. The dashboard is set quite low so there's a good view ahead, but the substantial rear pillars do affect your rearward vision somewhat, so you'll be needing the standard rear view camera and the all-round parking sensors. Right, let's move rearwards. One of the reasons you'd choose a ZR-V over a Civic would presumably be to get more back seat space. But once inside, you'll find that the tapering rear roofline robs the car of at least an inch of headroom at the back. This issue is exacerbated by the way that Honda has staggered the front and rear seating, setting this bench a little higher than the front chairs to give rear occupants a slightly better view out. Fitting 3 folk across the back is possible thanks to the shallow height of the central transmission tunnel, but the middle part of this bench isn't contoured for the comfort of a middle occupant. Right, let's finish with a look at the boot. Avoid base trim and you get this powered tailgate, which rises to reveal a 380 litre space in this sport model. That's 45 litres more than the smaller HR-V. It is rather on the small side for the kind of car this is. With the back seat folded, there's 1,312 litres of space on elegance and sport models, or 876 litres if you load to the window line. The ZR-V has arrived about a decade too late to establish Honda as a major player in the cash K class SUV-C segment, a role that the brand CR-V has long been too large and expensive to fulfill. Even now we have it, the ZR-V's impact will be limited to niche player status by punchy pricing and the single hybrid engine option. But if you were looking at eco-minded, non-plug-in, electrified, mid-sized SUV models in this sector, like front-driven versions of the Toyota RAV4, the Ford Kuga, the Kia Sportage, or the Hyundai Tucson, then the ZR-V needs factoring into your deliberations. Promoted by the world's most currently successful F1 driver and engineered by arguably the world's most innovative car maker, the ZR-V offers something different in this crowded segment. If you've been looking for that, then you might well enjoy one. Enough said.